Okay, so this is a time, speed, and distance question. I'll share the method which I used in the paper, in the actual paper. I took this particular slot in 2017. I'll explain the method that I employed in the actual question paper in the CAT exam, to so that you understand how good you can utilize the information that is provided. So the best way to utilize any information that is provided. So let me get into the solutions, or let's read the question first. So Arun is driving from home to his hostel at 60 miles per hour. So that's the speed given to us. While returning home, he drove halfway along the same route at a speed of 25 miles per hour and then took a bypass road which increased his driving distance by 5 miles but allowed him to drive at 50 miles per hour along this bypass road. Now, if his return journey took 30 minutes more than his onward journey, so the return one is taking 30 minutes more than the onward journey, then the total distance is what we are looking for. So total distance traveled by him is basically forward, I mean the onward as well as the return, right? So that's what we are looking for, the total distance traveled by him, home to hostel, hostel to home. Now, in this question, the first thing that occurred to my mind is we know that he's traveling a certain distance going forward. Now, while returning, he's traveling halfway of this distance. So that is exactly halfway. And then he's taking a bypass road, which increases his distance by 5 kilometers or something, right? 5 miles or something. Now, as soon as I look at this, the first thing that comes to my mind is these kind of questions. Typically, you would not have situations where the distances are in decimals or something. So let's try to use some options which is not leading to decimals. So let's try and do that. So what I thought about is, suppose, I mean, if you want to understand using some variables, so let me do that. Let us consider the total distance from home to hostel as 2D, not D. So let me consider this part is D. So this part is also D. This part is also D. But this part is D plus 5, right? Now, I hope you get this. If I want to keep this D as integer, please understand why am I trying to keep this integer? Because we have this 60 miles per hour while going forward, 25 miles per hour while coming back halfway, and that then 50 miles per hour after that. So these speeds are not having too many common factors, right? Except for this 5. And 5 is not helping us too much because in each of the options you have anyhow multiples of 5, right? So what I'm trying to say is, if this distance is not an integer value, there is very less chance that you get this beautiful difference of time. 30 minutes is like half an hour, right? So even if you think it in terms of half an hour, you don't have something like a recurring decimal or something like that. It's simply zero point 0.5 hours, right? So if you understand this idea, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to ignore 5 miles, this 5 miles from each of the options. So if I do that, first of all, I get 50 miles here, I get 55 miles here, I get 60 miles here, and I get 65 miles here. Now, first thing, home to hostel and hostel to home. So because I've removed the 5 miles extra, so now home to hostel should be half of it, right? So if you half each of them, now you can see that this and this is not leading to integer values anyhow, right? Only thing that we have is this as 25 if you half this, and this as 30, right? So I'm just not writing explicitly whatever process I'm doing. I hope you can hear me out. So I've taken 5 miles out from each of the options first, and then I'm trying to half it and check where am I getting integers. So this is the first thing that I do. Now, after that, now check this out. When this is this halfway break, right, that happens. So this halfway break is further going to divide. So what I've done so far is this distance is either the 30 miles or the 25 miles. So according to my assumption, right, we are going to test it. Don't worry. So this is going to be 30 miles and this is going to be 30 miles, right? But if you think about the return journey, that is half of the 30 miles or half of the 25 miles, right? But then if I half this out, I get 12.5. So this 30 or this 65, actually, this third option is the first option that I actually tested because of this reason. I'm not saying this will always be the answer, but this is the first option that I'm testing. Now, check this out and what happens. You have to anyhow test the option. So let's test it out. So first thing, I know that while he goes forward, so this entire journey according to us is 30 miles, right? I mean, this onward journey, right? So this onward journey is 30 miles, while the return journey is two parts. One is 15 miles, and then this part, the bypass road, is 20 miles, isn't it? So this is what we have. So now let us utilize the speeds that are given to us. So while going forward to home to hostel, he's traveling 30 miles with a speed of 60 miles per hour. So that is half an hour, right? You get a very beautiful number because of this parity of 60 and 30 as well. Now again, while returning back, the 15 miles, the first 15 miles, he travels with a speed of 25. So that is reducing to what, 3 by 5. So this is the first part, and the next part is 20 miles. So this is the second part with a speed of 50 miles per hour. So that is 2/5 of an hour. Now check this out. 3/5 of an hour and 2/5 of an hour is actually adding to a whole hour, right? Now, if you check this, onward journey half hour, return journey 1 hour, that is actually a difference of this 30 minutes, right? And that is what we have to validate. So effectively, the first option that I tested using this idea, I did not start testing randomly. There was a bit of analysis to it. The reason that is the reason I explained whatever came to my mind. So the first option that I tested using this reasoning was the answer. So you don't have to actually work with the variables here. If you have to do it, if you don't like this way to do it, I'll show you that method as well. So in that case, do not consider the distance to be d. I mean, from home to hostel. Just consider the distance to be 2d from home to hostel. So while going from home to hostel, you travel in this much time. So this is the time in onward journeys. This is d, by the way. And while returning, you travel d with a speed of 25, I guess. Yeah, with a speed of 25 miles per hour, and the remaining d plus 5 with a speed of 50 miles per hour. So this is the total time while returning. These two sum minus this is equal to half an hour. So you have to solve this out. But remember, the answer will be 4d plus 5. So if you solve the equation here, you will get d equal to 15. And then you put it and you get the answer as 65. So this will be a little to do. So if you apply this approach, it will take you somewhere around 1.5 to 2 minutes, depending on how fast you are. With these kind of calculations, the LCM and everything, you have to be careful also so that you don't make a silly mistake. And if you can use the options and analyze these kind of things quickly that I discussed here, that removing 5 and the halfway thing, at least even if you remove 5 and halfway thing, then you are left with a couple of options only, right? 55 and 65. So whichever you choose, you can choose another one. So that will still be faster compared to this method. So the answer here is option C, any which way you prefer to do this. And the ideal time to solve this question should be 1 to 1.5 minutes. Because if you waste too much time on these questions, then other questions might take a bit of more time. So that's it for this question. There's nothing much more to explain on this. Thank you.